And so we just went gung-ho on this huge Slack thread where we were just throwing ideas, we were jumping into ChatGPT, bringing ideas back. And it was this ferocious creative session because I think one of the things that drives creativity is a lack of resources. If you don't have much money or if you don't have much time, especially, that's when great creativity is unleashed. Samali, one of our co-founders, he put a message in Slack saying, hey, what if we sponsored a bus and it had the Hamu logo just riding around the Helsinki capital region for 2 or 3 months? And we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to All the Hats podcast, the unofficial support group for small team marketers. I'm Alicia Lay, and today we're talking about one of the scariest parts about modern B2B marketing, investing in brand when you can't tie every dollar to an attribution chart.
And I'm Ómar Thor Ómarsson, and our guest today is Edward Ford, co-founder of Hamu and longtime B2B SaaS marketing leader. Edward has built Hamu to real revenue while working full-time, and he's made some really interesting brand bets along the way, including the now famous Hamu bus.
Can you just give our listeners a little bit of a brief introduction to yourself?
Absolutely, and thanks so much for having me here. Super excited. So briefly about myself, basically spent my career in B2B SaaS and tech marketing, both agency and in-house. So I've seen pretty much everything from both sides of the table. Currently doing 3 things. So co-founder at Hamu, which basically provides founder-led content and executive thought leadership for B2B, which is actually something I do on the side. So definitely keeps me busy. Then my full-time role is marketing director at Forte, which is a fast-growing B2B scale-up in the agentic MMM, so marketing mix modeling space, and autonomous media buying and optimization for e-commerce, DTC, and retail brands. So I'm marketing to marketers, but to B2C marketers. So it's actually pretty cool because as a B2B marketer, it kind of opens your eyes to everything our marketing cousins on the consumer side of the fence are doing in e-commerce, DTC,
How
retail.
Lucky for you.
Yeah, exactly. So similar, but very different at the same time. And then also a growth and marketing advisor. Although, to be honest, I don't have too much time on top of all that, along with, family life and everything else going on. So I'm not doing too much at the moment, but definitely enough to keep me busy. And prior to all this, I was an early stage Supermetrics employee. So I was marketer number 4, employee number 30. I was there for over 6 years. We scaled from 5 to 50 million plus in ARR, from about 30 people to over 350. So I've seen all the stages and chapters of growth, and it was an incredible experience. That's for sure. And prior to that, I worked at growth marketing agency Advanced B2B. Omar, who started the Growth Hub podcast. So some listeners might have heard that or remember that from back in the day. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my background and what I'm doing now.
Awesome. We're just super honored to have you here today.
Yes, I was just going to ask first question, like how many hours are in your day, dude?
I know.
Because I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, the days start pretty early, actually. Probably around 6. Then it's getting everyone up, ready for daycare. And it's the winter time now. So like in Iceland, Finland gets pretty cold. So just clothing the kids takes a while. And then, yeah, pretty much full on work-wise during the day. I think one of the good things about this is that it keeps you efficient and focused, and you have to really prioritize ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then normally harmless stuff happens in the evening. So it's coming up to 7:45 p.m. local time here. So this is kind of when I do my harmless shift, maybe a couple of nights a week. So that's how you kind of get everything done. But some days you're pretty tired by the time your head hits the pillow, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got kids, not together, but we both of us have 2 kids, and so we know. Yeah, it does give you a tough schedule. Like you wake up, you have to get going no matter what. So there's no discounts,
No, absolutely not. Yeah, they need to be fed.
Yes, and woken up
and
clothed,
and gone to school, and it's 8:30, and we're gonna be late. And oh my gosh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you are.
I could relate to that.
Are you based in Finland then, in Helsinki?
That is right, yeah. So I'm originally from the UK, but I moved to Finland almost 20 years ago. So living here in Helsinki, and I'd probably say I'm a bit more Finnish than I am English these days, having lived here so long. But yeah, Finland-based.
One interesting anecdote, because I've been to Helsinki a couple of times, and one of the things I will never forget about that town, because actually Finnish people and Icelandic people are kind of similar. We have the darkness, there's drinking, there's a lot of depression and sarcasm. So there's a lot of similarities. But there's one thing I will never forget that I never got, which is there's a special dish in Finland, which is like a hot dog in a bucket. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What
It's
is that?
called, it's called the lihamoki, I think is the term. It's called like meat cup, which is basically where you get a soda cup that you get from like McDonald's or Burger King or something, but they just put sausage and meat in it and you eat meat from a cup. So it's very literal. Finns are actually quite literal. So when they say meat cup, it's literally a cup with meat in it.
Oh,
Do you enjoy it?
it?
I've never actually had it, you know. I
Okay,
think it's one of those things when you live here and you don't do what the locals supposedly do. So I don't know. We have our company Christmas party next week, so maybe after that I should stop for a
A
lihamoki.
meat
Yeah,
cup.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We wanted to ask you about Hamu. Like, can you tell us about what you guys do? And you've been like just about growing considerably, right? So maybe just talk a little bit about, take us through that.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey. So it was basically, myself and two former colleagues who we used to work together at Advanced B2B. We kind of seen this shift towards founder-led content and B2B marketing teams building brands and building their marketing playbook around the people in the company and the people's brand. So this kind of shift from the company brand to the people's brand. And it worked like so well. I've used that playbook in the past. I've benefited a huge amount personally from building my own personal brand, and my two co-founders have done it as well. And actually one of my other co-founders, he's started a company before Hamu where he basically built a process with his other two co-founders where he would basically interview them for 1 hour every month and turn that into a month's worth of LinkedIn content. And the three co-founders each had a different topic each. So they were actually in the talent acquisition and employer branding space. So one was talking about recruitment and talent acquisition. One was talking about employer branding. And then my third co-founder, Samuli, he was talking about building the business, the numbers, how well they're doing, growth as the CEO. And that essentially became the starting point for Hamu, because we realized tons of other companies are trying to build out this founder-led content model. They're trying to get their leadership teams or their subject matter experts or industry experts from within the company active on LinkedIn, but it's so hard to basically do that and then also build a system and process to do it. So Hamu basically does that. So what we do is that we, for our customers, we basically interview them for 1 hour every month and turn it into a month's worth of LinkedIn content. So we'll work together at the start to figure out the strategy. What are they trying to achieve? Is it sales? Is it brand building and awareness? Is it, for some of our customers, it's actually political and industry level lobbying. Some it's sort of even internal communications, which sounds kind of strange and counterintuitive that you do that on LinkedIn. And we started this at the beginning of the year. So it's kind of late in the year now, November, December. So we started in the spring. So we've been up and running for just over 6 months, and the response has been crazy. There's been a huge amount of demand for Hamu and what we're offering. And we've grown to over 500,000 in annual recurring revenue. And this was basically with three of us doing it on the side. So we were all doing it on the side from when we launched in March up until the 1st of September, when our third co-founder, she was the co-founder CEO, she actually stepped into the role full time to kind of work on operationalizing the business, the service delivery. We hired our first person. So now we're 2 full-time employees. We do work with partners as well. But yeah, it's been a bit of a mad journey. So that's a little bit about how we started, the opportunity we saw, and where we're at right now, roughly.
No, that's super cool, man. And congratulations. My first question to you guys or to you is because your background is, marketing and go-to-market, and sounds like your co-founders as well. So what tactics have you been applying that, that have been working for you?
That have helped you in
helped
this
you,
growth.
get to this growth.
I mean, obviously there's like a need for the market, which is what you found. That problem point is that you could see that there's a lot of SaaS companies who wanted to have this founder-led growth strategy. But like, other than that, addressing the true problem, what has been, what do you think has been the like ticket to your speed?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that we've really lent on. And I think one of the cool things about me and my co-founders, so we all have marketing and sales backgrounds. We've all worked in marketing agencies. We've worked in-house, and we know the importance of marketing and brand building. So we don't have that challenge of selling the concept of investing in marketing and brand building, since we lived and breathed that for so long, and we all understand the importance of it as marketing and salespeople by background. So I'd say the first thing is drinking our own champagne or eating your own dog food, whichever analogy you prefer, and just going quite hard on founder-led content. So all three of us are very active on LinkedIn, talking about this shift from sort of company-led growth to people-led growth. We're talking about how we're building Hamu. We're sharing our results quite openly. I actually find most of our company updates on LinkedIn, not on Slack, because we don't really share anything there anyway. So, ARR growth rates, how much money we have in our bank account. Our third, one of my co-founders, Samali, he was posting that a couple of weeks ago, and it's working very well. That's one of the main reasons that we've been able to grow so much over the last few months. And then secondly, I think just building a brand. For us, the major objective we have right now is building the Hamu brand, building awareness, making sure people understand the need for founder-led content, executive thought leadership, whether you're a small startup of one person or if you're even a mid-market enterprise company, which is where we've also seen a lot of growth, which was a surprise for us. I can kind of dig into more about that when we get into the go-to-market. But one of the other things we're doing is just building a brand and doing things that most B2B marketing teams would never do or never even be allowed to do. So one thing we did is what we call the Hamu bus. So Samali, one of our co-founders, he put a message in Slack saying, hey, what if we sponsored a bus and it had the Hamu logo just riding around the Helsinki capital region for 2 or 3 months? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we actually did out-of-home advertising as one of our first big brand campaigns. The Hamu logo is basically a big green ghost. And if some of you have a video on, you can actually see it. And our brand colors are purple and green. And so we took over a bus that's been driving around Helsinki for the last couple of months that said, this bus got more views than your last LinkedIn post. And we basically took pictures of it, we uploaded it to LinkedIn, and that in itself took off even more. And we had people who are based here in Helsinki almost on a scavenger hunt around the city, trying to find the bus, taking pictures and selfies, posting them on LinkedIn and social. We could actually select the bus route as well. So we picked a bus route that went past Slush, which is the big startup event here in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Hamu bus was going right outside the big Slush event a couple of weeks ago, which was cool. And that was crazy because we launched the bus at the very end of October for Halloween, again, to kind of tie into the ghost theme. We did it on Monday, the 27th of October, and on Tuesday, the 28th of October, it was one of our best days. I actually think our best day for inbound sales leads since we started. So you could immediately see the impact, even though it was not a sort of short-term lead gen, demand gen play. It was just about doing something crazy, building the brand and awareness.
I love that so much. And I want to put that down on paper because for us, it's hard. And for a lot of our teams and our audience, it's a hard sell to say that we need to invest this very limited amount of marketing dollars we have on brand, because the CFO is going to be coming to us and said, okay, last year you spent this much money on brand. What do we have to show for it? And obviously attribution is its own other topic, but you guys committing, I don't know, this must have been, you're a small startup. You said that you are getting revenue, so maybe you have more marketing budget than normal, startups do. But this sounds like a big investment for you guys, this brand play.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was about 15,000 USD for a few months. And we were lucky because, we didn't have anyone on payroll because we were all doing it on the side for a while. So we're able to kind of build some buffer in our account. And it was a relatively high margin business as well, based on the delivery model that we'd been developing. And, had we been in a position where we would have needed to build out the business case, we would have needed to forecast ROI, estimated, we're putting this much in, what are we going to get back? This is not Google search ads, right? This is sponsoring a bus. It's like, we don't really know what's going to happen. We have no idea. Is it going to generate something in the short term, or is it something that people might even be talking about in 2 years' time? And it's still, generating some brand awareness, or it's taking up some form of mental real estate, which you can't put in a spreadsheet. So we were just like, let's do it. One of our core philosophies is on just building the brand, and that tied very much into that. And the next day we got a huge bump in inbound sales leads, and we have been able to fill up our pipeline pretty nicely on the back of this. So
and were they like
I think
good customers, happy with them, people that would continue on with the or did you have to, like, honestly, was it a lot of fluff, or did you have to kind of comb through it?
Sorry, the question was
your inbound leads, were they all people like your ICP essentially?
Yeah. Very good fit ICP leads. Many actually came directly through LinkedIn, and we know that when we're getting inbounds through LinkedIn, they're also very good. Some converting through the website. We're keeping our eyes on the self-reported attribution for the Hamu bus as well over the next month or two. So keeping our eyes up for that. So yeah, very good fit inbound leads that came in the day after.
So that was exactly going to be my question, because like it's tough to measure kind of out of home advertisement sometimes. So like, was it that you weren't doing anything else like paid or anything, or was it just because it happened the day after you started the bus that you knew it was the bus that was driving those leads? Or how did you measure it, if you could go into that?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was tied to the bus because it was basically our best inbound sales day ever. We couldn't really do any geo-lift test because we're still so small that I just don't think the numbers were there. But they were all local based from Helsinki in the Nordics. So we knew that that's basically our audience as well. And then also just asking people during the sales calls, and everyone was bringing it up in the discussions. So it was, in that sense, very easy to attribute the bus to part of this. Of course, we've been doing a lot of groundwork for several months, and we've been talking about the shift, and this maybe pushed a few people to kind of reach out and get in contact with us. So yeah, that's been one of the other key things. I'd say there's probably three others. So we've had like two so far: the founder-led content, drinking our own champagne, the brand building, the things like the Hamu bus. Another thing we're betting on are in-person meetups and events. So actually in 2 days' time, we're hosting a CMO dinner here in Helsinki for CMOs and marketing leaders from really good fit organizations for us. We're going to be talking about executive thought leadership. We're going to be talking about this shift from building marketing around the brands to the key people in your organization. And so that will be, I think, really good to see how that performs. And then a couple of other things that are working well for us are partners. So basically people in our network who are growth advisors or who are basically running their own consultancies and want to refer Hamu to their customers as part of the recommended playbook for them. So that's working quite well. And then another counterintuitive or kind of slightly alternative thing we did is that we hired several salespeople. But what we did is that we basically said, you can choose your comp model. So we gave two alternatives. One is that you would be a Hamu employee, where there would be a base plus kind of low base plus commission, so the kind of classic sales model. And then the other is that you would be a sort of contract partner, where it would be 100% commission based, full stack sales role, where you'd be doing outbound prospecting, selling. So you'd be a sort of SDR AE hybrid, closing the deal and then passing to onboarding, which was a pretty generous commission based model. So I think if you were to sell Hamu to 5 customers, the first model would have landed you probably around 7,000 to 8,000 USD per for the month. And if you'd done it the second option, it was it was 10,000 euros, so it would be probably somewhere around 13,000 USD. But of course, there's more risk involved. So it was another thing to kind of just let salespeople figure out how they would want to work with us. And so we've been able to bring on 4 salespeople as well. So that's also starting to build pipelines. So we've got a lot of things going on, but I'd say these are probably the main things we've done in terms of actual tactics across marketing and sales.
Interesting. I mean, these are all kind of unconventional methods, I would say. It's not like go-to strategies, like just go to paid campaigns or email campaigns or so. I really like it. So that's one question about the bus. Like, what do you think of what it was about the bus and the brand awareness with the bus that was so successful?
I think firstly, surprise. We all posted on the same day pictures of the bus, and it was like breaking news. The Hamu bus has just launched in Helsinki, or everyone had a slightly different hook. And I think it was the last thing people expected for a B2B startup to do. I think the copy was pretty on point. We actually spent a lot of time on the copy. It was probably the most intense creative sprint of my career because we also had a hard deadline. We made the decision very quickly. I think one of the other good things we spoke earlier about, traditionally you'd need to build the business case, you'd need to send it for approvals, it would go to the CFO's desk, it would come back to marketing. We made the decision on the spot. And I think from the sort of idea to actually having the bus live out on the street, it was probably 2 to 3 weeks. And we had a hard deadline because the bus
needed to be wrapped.
Basically, everything was going to print at 6 p.m. and we still hadn't landed on the kind of copy. And so we just went gung-ho on this huge Slack thread where we were just throwing ideas, we're jumping into ChatGPT, bringing ideas back. And it was this ferocious creative session because I think one of the things that drives creativity is a lack of resources. If you don't have much money or if you don't have much time, especially, that's when great creativity is unleashed. And we, in this case, we didn't actually have much time. And we were saying, the key here is the copy. I think the copy is what's going to make or break this. We had, really cool visuals. It was, like I said, bright green and purple. There's a little ghost with shades, not what you would expect for like B2B service business selling to the mid-market and enterprise as part of our ICP. And yeah, the copy of this bus got more views than your last LinkedIn post. Really resonated. I think particularly with our audience in the Nordics. You spoke about, Finns and Icelanders maybe having this similar dark sense of humor. I think a lot of Brits and other people in the Nordics and marketers in general appreciate, I think, a little bit of humor. It worked very well. I think those were probably the key things.
And I think what's beautiful about that is that it was one sentence and it captured an emotion. And as we are all familiar with, B2B want to drown you in text.
Talking about emotion, LinkedIn, and good copy, just pivoting into like what you do, like what is, like everybody's feeling LinkedIn at the LinkedIn algorithm at the moment. Like we just did an episode about LinkedIn, Alicia and I, and like as a founder myself, and I know we both of us are posting a lot. I mean, and sometimes you're just like, it's crickets, and sometimes it's like, what happened? Like I spent 2 minutes on this post and it blows up. So what to you? What's the
what are you learning?
What are you learning about posting a lot on LinkedIn? Like what's the trick at the moment?
I think the key takeaway right now is consistency. I think, like you said, sometimes you can spend ages crafting this post that is perfection and it gets 432 impressions after 24 hours and you're like, what happened? And sometimes you might just be like, oh, I have this idea. You put something together, you hit post, and then you get some coffee and come back and your notifications are blown up and it's 10,000 plus impressions, which currently on LinkedIn is really good reach. And we've been doing this a long time, and we've seen the algorithm change week in, week out, or month in, month out. Sometimes it's pushing video, sometimes it's pushing text. There was that time when they had just launched polls, and if you put a poll out, you'd get 50,000 impressions immediately.
I remember that.
So and you couldn't log on to LinkedIn without being hit by a
poll,
a stupid poll, right?
Yeah. God, I remember.
This was like a few years ago.
Is your digital banking work? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think these things just they just kind of come and go, and what you really need is a clear strategy of what you're trying to achieve. What are you trying to get out of being active on LinkedIn? Being very clear of that. What are the topics that you want to be known for? Where do you have expertise? And then the key is just consistency, and over time it compounds. And I think as well, if you have multiple people from your organization doing it, you're increasing your reach. You have the ability to talk about the same core topics, but from different perspectives. Maybe people have different areas of expertise. I gave the example of one of our co-founders at Harl and his previous company, that the 3 co-founders had slightly different angles. And you're also diversifying risk as well. If key people leave or they move on to the next role. If you've been collectively building presence on LinkedIn, then you're also diversifying risk from that perspective. But again, coming back to the algorithm, I think consistency is the key, and you kind of learn what works and what doesn't. And what we're also kind of building in is into the Hamu process is that we're looking at historical performance of our customers' LinkedIn activity. So we're trying to understand which topics are resonating well, and which hooks or which angles within certain topics are resonating well, so that when our customers have finished their 1-hour interview, before we sort of hand it over to expert human copywriters, we're kind of running it through basically a process we've been developing to scrape historical performance data, and then it tailors the content to match what's been working, so that we can already have a good bet on what we think is going to work well. And then that's handed to our copywriters and content creators, who then take that and then package it into a format that we think has got the best shot of achieving the goals.
So are you doing the interview and then figuring out what you want to say after and then creating a script for them to do again? Or are you just cutting the video that they've already done the interview and then cutting that into content?
So basically the way it works is that we'll, when we start working with a new customer, we'll obviously outline the goals, the strategy, the key topics and the content pillars, the tone of voice. How do you want to be perceived? Is it sophisticated and trustworthy, or are you sort of a rebellious, individual who's calling things out and are, a little more rough around the edges? All those things we kind of take into account and build that up front, and then we'll craft the first interview for that hour, which is done by basically the content marketer, the copywriter, who's going to be turning that content into your month's worth of LinkedIn content. And then basically we over time understand what's working, which topics work, which angles we want to take, and then we'll tailor the interviews towards that direction. And of course, if there are, in certain customers' businesses, are there relevant topics they want to talk about? Do they see certain topics trending in their industry? And we'll bring those in each month. So we're sort of quite agile. But then we'll always look at the data, and then basically when we're creating the content out of the 1-hour interview, that will always be data led, so that we know that it's going to try and basically the process we're building is that it's going to pull what we think are the most interesting talking points, and then spin that out into the sort of the first draft.
And when you say data led, are you looking at metrics from LinkedIn?
Yeah, basically we integrate with the Shield API.
I was going to say, you're probably using Shields. Remember when we had that call?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Because then are you also, because how does it work then? If do you also sponsor, or you don't? Do you just let it organically go?
So what we do is that we produce the content, and then we schedule it for our customers, and then they have like the month's worth ready to go and they also of course review, give feedback, and then give the final approval. And then really it's up to our customers if they want to boost it with thought leader ads at this point. So some do, some are doing it quite a bit, some are experimenting a bit, some might wait and see what's performed well organically, and then they'll sponsor those. But I think it's definitely one step in terms of evolving the offering that we could actually bake that into the
Have
service.
You seen
but at this
difference?
point, we're focused more on organic.
Have you seen a difference between customers that sponsor and don't sponsor? Or like, do you see that sponsoring actually boosting makes a difference?
Yeah, I think this is really where it comes down to the skills and capabilities around like how well do you know LinkedIn ads, and how good of a performance marketer are you, and having people who've been doing that for a long time. I think if you can combine that with great organic content, then you can get some very good results. And I think if something has performed well organically, it's going to perform well in terms of putting a bit more extra paid spend behind it. So I think that's like probably the best starting point. If something's done well, and say you put a quality threshold or a performance threshold of we would need 50 plus responses or engagements, or we'd need X number of comments, or we need a certain number of impressions before we then boost it, then that's typically a very good starting point.
Sure. I got a question for you, and please be brutally honest. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, because we met on LinkedIn, actually. What do you think of my LinkedIn? Because I'm doing a lot of founder-led posting. I'm posting a lot. What do you think of my posting? Post and strategy.
Well, like you said, we found each other on LinkedIn, and basically because of the content you've been putting out there, talking about the challenges of web analytics. You were promoting the B2B website awards, and which I thought was a great concept and campaign, and you had some amazing people involved in the judging process. So from that perspective, it clearly worked because we're here chatting together now. And I think basically where Optise is in terms of disrupting web analytics and providing web analytics specifically for B2B marketers and B2B SaaS marketers in particular, there's a huge narrative there in terms of everything that's wrong with the old way of doing it and the new way. And so, yeah, I think very good. Yeah, you're doing a very good job. That's my answer.
Thank you very much. I'm okay with getting constructive feedback as well. I know because I'm just trying it out. I'm doing a lot. Consistency is one thing I'm doing. I'm posting a lot, but I make mistakes. But I also see some patterns as well. So,
but I think that you touched on a point because you see the benefit and you're feeling the benefit of LinkedIn, and you're actively using that as like a sales tactic.
Yeah.
To build Optise.
Yeah.
But did you feel like you had to get comfortable with posting? Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who they're not posters. Me, in case in point, I am not a poster. I don't know what it would take me to post my thoughts.
What if you outsource it to somebody like Hamu, because I actually like posting. I enjoy it. I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, and I like to hear how people kind of receive it. I write all my posts myself. So, but I get it. Not everybody likes to post. But why? What is it that makes you not want to post?
I don't know.
Are you afraid that somebody's going to go say something that you can't know the answer to?
It's a good question. Maybe I have no, what deep psychological insecurity do I have that I don't want to post? But I'm just I'm not a poster. And we are doing this amazing podcast. I think I posted about it twice.
And I asked you a million times.
Yeah, I know you have been.
But that's.
And I just,
But I think you're like most people, though.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you say to that? Do you feel you have to drag people out of their shells, or because it wouldn't be sustainable for me? Ómar could say, Alicia, please post this, or please post every other day, and I would do it not.
Yeah, I think it's totally relatable. I've been doing this a long time, and still when I'm about to hit post, you're like, ugh. Mm-hmm. Okay, is this good? Because you're putting yourself out there. It's your thoughts in a professional context at the end of the day, and you're opening yourself up for criticism in public, which is uncomfortable. And there are people out there who will call you out or who might challenge your point of view. And for the most part, that's where a lot of great discussion and learning happens. Mm-hmm. But like most things around growth, it typically happens in the space of feeling very uncomfortable. You do get used to it though. Once you've been doing it a bit more, you become accustomed to it, and it just becomes part of what you do. That still doesn't mean that it just feels normal or comfortable. I think there's definitely times when you do put yourself into that space. And I think one thing we've learned with Hamu is that you need to be comfortable doing that multiple times per week, because that's what you're essentially signing yourself up to. But once you can overcome that, the benefits are huge, not just for your company's growth, but I think for you as an individual as well, in terms of building your own personal brand, building connections. All of a sudden you get invitations to come on a podcast or to maybe be interviewed for a blog article about leaders in your space. It's sort of this snowball that gathers size and speed and momentum as it's rolling down a hill, and the more you do it, the more it gives back. And one of the things we actually do in our sales process is essentially we're talking people out of it and convincing people they shouldn't actually buy Hamu. And there was because you need to understand what comes with this. And there's one story I can share from it was about a couple of months ago, where Samuli, who's he's basically doing all our inbound sales deals, is that there was someone who was super keen and wanted to sort of sign right away, and he said, I want you to basically go away and think about this for 2 days, and if you still really want to buy Hamu, we'll do it, but you need to think about it, because it is kind of challenging to overcome this, and once you get into it, it's important you commit and stick with it. So I can totally relate to it, but I think if you can overcome that and maybe just take small steps, you start to see the benefits pay back.
I will feel that through Ómar.
I'm gonna then ask, like, because we met on LinkedIn. Was it my LinkedIn posting that got you to try Optise?
Yeah, basically, yeah, because I hadn't heard of Optise until I had seen Ómar, some of your content on LinkedIn, and I think someone had maybe been commenting.
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. I was just
I'm trying to think. Was it something you posted related to the B2B website awards, and then maybe one of the judges, was it Anthony Pieri or Pip Lawyer had posted something about it, and then I was like, this looks pretty interesting, and so I went to check it out, and then someone's actually solved web analytics for B2B finally. So
thank you.
That's kind of where I got into it. Yeah, we can get into my pain of GA4 and GA in a moment.
Please elaborate.
That's where we connected, right? That's where I would not know Optise existed if it wasn't for you posting on LinkedIn. So.
I love to hear that and see that it works, posting. But I love to hear about more how much you hate Google Analytics for.
Yeah, I guess it's a sort of love-hate relationship. It's provided a lot of insights and understandings, but at the same time, it's provided challenges and pain. And I think the amount of time that I've spent in GA trying to find something that took way too long, probably it's because I'm not super familiar with how to use it. But I think one of the challenges with GA is that it's for marketers, and it's for marketing analysts, and it's for web analysts, and it's for analysts.
Yeah.
And it's for marketers who are B2B marketers, or who are B2C marketers, or who are e-commerce marketers operating in, like, someone buying a t-shirt after seeing a Facebook ad compared to someone who's selling 10 million ARR enterprise software.
Yeah.
And you're trying to cater for so many marketers and so many users that basically it's the classic trying to go too broad in your TAM, basically.
Yeah.
And so if you're, for me, as someone who's been working in B2B SaaS basically my whole career, when you just want to understand where are people coming from, how are they finding us, and which pages are kind of bringing traffic in, and what are people really doing on the site, and how what conversion events are going on, are they kind of checking out, just basic stuff. You have to go through so much of a process, and you need to build and save all these views, and you need to kind of be super familiar with it. And when you're not, because like you said, when you're working as a marketer in a startup scale up, as the podcast suggests, you're wearing all these hats every day that you don't really have the luxury of spending. You don't have the luxury of being able to spend a huge amount of time to get to know every software you're interacting with. And so you just basically want to know what's working and what do I really need to do based on this. And that's hard to get to. And I think as a marketer, I kind of want to know three things. I want to know basically, how are people finding us and coming to our site? I want to know, once people are on the site, what are they actually doing? And are they finding what they need? Because we have this obsession with, say, bounce rate or time on site, that high bounce rate and low time on site is really bad. But if you're providing people with exactly what they need and it's just there, they might come on and they might find what they need, and then they'll be like, oh, that was really cool, I found what I needed from Hamu, and then they jump off. But maybe they come back later on. So really, what are we doing? What are people doing on the site, and how are they engaging with content? And then conversion, like how many high intent, good fit prospects who land on our website, convert, take the next step. So these are the kinds of things I want to know. And I would love for someone just to tell me what does that actually mean in terms of changes to our website, changes to the content. So finally, like, you know, when I saw your LinkedIn content and I thought, oh, someone's finally solving this, and I went to check it out, I was like, okay, this is exactly what we've been needing. Because I don't think GA and GA4 has really solved the problem for marketers if you just don't have enough time to really dig into GA4 on a daily, weekly basis.
Absolutely.
Which
And
most
from a
startup
seasoned,
marketers
it's
don't
nice
have that
to
time.
hear from a seasoned B2B marketer.
Totally,
because,
man.
Yeah, we've felt this pain.
Awesome to hear. So you think we're on the right track, or?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I love the way it's super simple, the product, and just having everything split, you know, into the different stages of this customer journey tells you what you need to do. It's very actionable, and so I think it's a great starting point, and I think something we all need, basically.
Amazing. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, this is, I mean, just hearing it from somebody else is just, and we've all felt the pain of Google Analytics. Like you said, it's made for everything, for everyone, and you know, it turns into just a nightmare to navigate. So that's kind of, it was really the spark for Optise was my frustration with Google Analytics was, you know, spending hours and hours trying to figure out what was happening in there and what I should do and all of that. So anyways, I love to hear that somebody else likes what we built.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important because, I mean, you know, the website is such a critical piece of your business.
Exactly,
in
man.
B2B for us as Hamu, and like for us, like with everything we do, we take the same approach with our website, where we're basically trying to do everything that is common best practice, but makes zero sense. We're just not doing it, and we're changing the way, you know, I think a B2B website should be and operate based on how people are buying. So there's a lot of alternative things going on at the Hamu website, which also happy to dig into. But yeah, just having something that can help me understand how our website is performing and you know what we need to do is you know, super valuable.
Absolutely.
Music to Omar's ears.
Oh, there's honey dripping out of my ears right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your precious evening time
Yeah,
away
man.
from your family.
8 o'clock at night. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you're a hard worker, dude.
And if we want to
No,
connect
that's how
with
it goes,
you,
right?
Edward, where can our audience connect with you?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn, obviously,
Yep.
first and foremost. So yeah, I think LinkedIn would be the best place. You can find me there. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everyone, Edward Ford from Hamu, and we'll be looking forward to seeing some like what the next experimental guerrilla marketing tactic you guys come up with. So we'll be watching closely.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we set the bar high, so yeah, we'll see what we can come up with next.
Yeah,
only-
what is it, like a balloon or like
hot air balloon.
hot air balloon or
Rocket to the
airplane?
moon, yeah.
Do they still do airplanes with like when they do smoke in the sky? Like is that still?
know.
a
Oh
thing?
yeah, that could be pretty cool.
Chemtrails.
Yeah.
Chemtrails, yeah, that's you can't do that anymore.
All right.
Well, anyways, Edward, thank you so much for your time, buddy, and joining us during your evening. And best of luck with everything. And have a good one.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.